And if I wanted to write my next chapter, where would it be? What would I do? And I thought for a long time, and I landed on.
I'm Ryan Gresham, and this is Gun Talk Nation. Gun Talk Nation is brought to you by Hodgdon, EOTech, Inglis, NRA ARC, Black Hills Ammunition, and Kimber. Welcome into Gun Talk Nation. Today on Gun Talk Nation, pro shooter Max Michel. Max, welcome in, man.
Appreciate it, man.
Always good to have you here.
And the studio looks amazing, dude.
Thanks.
Every time I come, it gets better and better. It's really awesome.
You know, you got to keep up with it. And here's the thing. People watch podcasts now, right? So we're all filming it, and so let's make a good set. So if you're listening to Gun Talk Nation, go check out Gun Talk Nation on YouTube, and you can see what someone called a tactical Applebee's. Is that appropriate?
It is actually. You know, the brick going on in here, but it's
got lots of gack, as we say in the industry, lots of accessory decorations. So
no, it's awesome. And for those that can't see, I mean, if you even behind the scenes is a beautiful place, and the gun range here, from the studios to the the shoot house and the classroom. I mean, this is it's my dream, so I'm lucky to be nearby.
Yeah, we appreciate it, man. So we wanted to have you in because there's been a lot going on. And I won't bury the lead, because if you're listening to this, we could tease you for like a half hour. Mm-hmm. But if you're watching this, Max is wearing a different shirt that he hasn't worn in some time.
Yeah.
Dude, you're a pro shooter. Pro shooters, and this isn't a knock, but pro shooters are like certain athletes, sort of like where you're sponsored by a gun company or an optics company or ammo company and all that stuff, right? Obviously, you were with Sig for how many years?
17 years.
17.
Yeah. It's a bunch
okay.
Of
time. And now, as things happen, moving on to the next thing. So tell us about it.
Yeah, I mean, being with Sig was amazing. I look back on my career, and I spent 10 years at the U.S. Army Marksmanship Unit. So there, in Fort Benning, Georgia, I was just 17 years old, getting in there, and didn't know how to balance a checkbook, didn't know how to, do laundry, didn't know how to do any of this stuff. And I get thrown in there at a very young age, and that was my passion. That's what I've always wanted to be, was a pro shooter. And that was the most direct route, was the U.S. Army.
Yep.
And during the time there, we did some amazing things as a group, as a unit. And then you develop as a young shooter, you develop as a professional, you develop as a soldier and a husband and a father, and all these things that happened during that stretch of your life. And then it was time to move on from the Army. Unfortunately, I never really thought I would ever leave the Army, but at some point they're going to kick you out anyway,
Yeah.
So you're going to move on. And Sig Sauer was the company that gave me the opportunity to really live out my dream. So the Army gave me an opportunity to become a true pro, and I didn't take it for granted. I worked super hard every single day that I was there, and then, as I mentioned, Sig gave me that opportunity to really live out my dream. So it was a phenomenal 17 years at the company. We did some amazing things together. If you look back in 2008 and 2009 timeframe when I first got there, we were just, Sig was just a 226 company.
Mm-hmm.
It was just very much, hey, this is the gun that Navy SEALs are using and some of the law enforcement folks out there are running. They didn't really have that competitive shooting presence. And that's what I was brought in to do. So my first few years at Sig was just all about winning. Try to win at a high level, bring some notoriety and some brand recognition to Sig Sauer in the competitive shooting arena. And I did that. I worked super hard again, just like when I was back in the Army. They let me do my job. They let me live in Louisiana. They didn't really bug me. They gave me all the tools I needed and said, just go be a pro. And nobody micromanaged me, and I was able to just do what I wanted to do. And I won more for Sig than I had ever won in the Army, which was crazy, because I thought, being a pro shooter in the Army, you got all the ammo, you got the time, you got the direction. Mm-hmm. But once I got out of the Army and Sig gave me that opportunity, then it was just all on me. And I can go out there and train the way that I wanted to train, hit the gym the way I wanted to hit the gym, pick the matches I wanted to go to, and really just live my life with everything, with the intention of being a world champion shooter. So I won a lot of national and world championships for Sig and brought a lot of notoriety to the company and brand recognition to the company. And of course, the 320 came out, maybe some years later, and then so many contracts came with that. and just being a part of the developing products, whether it be optics or ammunition or pistols. It was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it. And another big passion that I had while I was at SIG and that I really put my stamp on was the Sig Sauer Academy. I love the guys there. They're all law enforcement, military mindset folks, and I just clicked really well with them. So I was able to help develop our instructors there and help develop the curriculum there that still to this day, I think if you go through a course, you'll probably hear some of my terminology, which I think is really neat, So but it was a great time. And somebody told me when I was in the Army, they said, hey, you'll be here for a few years and then you'll be gone. And I took offense to that when I was told. I was like, no, I'm not. I'm going to be here forever, man. And then I had a really good mentor of mine recently. I say recently, but the last handful of years. He says, hey, everything's booming at Sig Sauer. Everything's going amazing. You're doing great. They're doing great. But at some point, they're either going to ask you to leave or you're going to feel like it's time to leave. And I really took offense to that as well. I was like, no, there's no way that I'm ever going to leave this company. They're going to have to kick me out or pull me out of here. And
well, because you're a guy who is a very hard worker. You want to do a really good job for anybody you're working with. You care a lot. So you know that you're going to deliver. Whether that's high performing in matches or whatever other duties you're asked to be doing, R&D or marketing or whatever. Like you say, there's no reason this would change because I'm going to do my part, right?
Exactly. So you feel like I have control over what I can control, and I'm not going to, just stop training. I'm not going to stop working out. I'm not going to stop caring about the people that, take care of me and those who love me. But he was right. I would say over the last few years, I started to notice just things. And I wouldn't say bad things. It was just, you start noticing like, okay, well, maybe things are changing a little bit.
Nothing ever stays the same.
It really
Things
doesn't.
change.
It's so odd because when I first got to SIG, we had 300 or 400 employees. And now there's 4,000 employees.
Wow.
So it's insane to see. And of those 300 or 400 that were there when I was there, there's probably, I don't know, a couple dozen of them maybe left, maybe less. In other words, I was one of the more senior guys there for sure. So you start looking around and you're like, man, things are definitely changing, and that's life, it's not bad, it's just different.
Well, it's also work, right? I mean, things run their course, and it's like, okay. And then you also sometimes are presented with other opportunities that you weren't maybe even like thinking, oh, this is going to be something I'm seeking out or whatever, but things pop up. And I mean, I know for me growing up, my dad, my grandfather were always kind of freelancer, self-employed type of guys. And they always said, listen to all opportunities. There may be stuff that pops up that you say, I mean, I'm not planning to go anywhere else or do something different, but it's worth a conversation.
Yeah,
right?
Absolutely. It's a great point.
So I don't want to bury the lead here, Max. Let's talk about the new thing. So you decided to leave Sig Sauer. Am I saying that right?
I did.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah. So it was a very, very tough decision. Very hard decision, but I did decide to move on. And I thought about it for a couple months. It took a lot of time to really think about it. And the opportunity that was presented to me was amazing. And I had several offers as of recent, and it's unfortunate, I wouldn't say it's because of the 320 is why I left. And I know that's probably why a lot of people are saying, oh, he's leaving. Look, I love the 320. The 320 was a great platform for me. I won a lot of national and world championships with it, set world records. Very proud of what SIG has done with that gun, but that did open up opportunities. When other companies saw, what's going on with the 320, is Max going to be okay? A lot of my buddies would call me like, hey, dude, I heard SIG's going down. Are you going down? It wasn't ever really about that, but it did bring up opportunities. But I really didn't listen to any opportunities initially because I was like, there's no way I'm ever going to leave. I love it here, and they take care of me. But I really wasn't interested in any of it. And then I sat down for a minute and thought, there's a lot of change going on. A lot of things are happening. Not bad things, just different things. And if I wanted to write my next chapter, where would it be? What would I do? And I thought for a long time, and I landed on Staccato. I mean, that was the one for me. And I said, if I was to leave, this would be where I would want to be. And the reason why that is because when I was 15 years old, they were my very first sponsor.
Back when it was STI.
STI International, baby, back in the day, And I won my first major championship with an STI pistol when I was 15 years old. The very next weekend, I won another major championship with that same pistol. And it was after that I just kind of took off, and then of course the Army recruited me and all that. But it was just a moment for me to kind of take a step back and say, okay, what's next for me? I've won everything I've wanted to win multiple times, but if I can make an impact on the industry, where would I go? What would I do? And that's what I landed on, was Staccato. So I just spoke to those guys, and the offer that was presented to me was pretty amazing. But even still, it was a very difficult decision to leave, because you're home, you're comfortable where you are. So I had a lot of conversations with a lot of very important people that I trust. And they had me read a book, believe it or not, Who Moved Your Cheese, or Who Moved My Cheese.
Yeah, I've heard of that.
So it's a very small book, very easy to read for those out there listening and watching. If you're struggling with some decisions right now, you might want to go check it out and read and see who you might be in that book. And it was pretty eye-opening to me that, I have been sniffing things out over the last few years. So I think there was just some opportunities, and I didn't want to just say, no, I'm not going to do this and not going to do that. I wanted to listen, as you mentioned, listen through everything, pray through everything, talk to my wife 1,000 times a day, about this and that. So we landed on Staccato, and took a couple months, and I made that decision. And after making that decision, even as recent as some weeks ago, you kind of second guessing. You're like, did I do it? Should I have? You get those thoughts.
It's a big step.
It's a really big step. And but I just recently had a great training session with a SWAT team. Their sheriff came out, and just the way everything was kind of working, I thought, this is exactly what, it was the right choice. Everything worked out beautifully.
What does that mean for Max Michel? You're still going to be shooting some matches, or is it changing in kind of how you're doing things?
Yeah, and that's why it was interesting for me to make that decision of what do I do next, because everybody's always asked me what's my next, and I didn't really know that. I was always living my next in my head. I was I'm going to be a national and a world champ forever. That's what I'm going to do. Yeah. But then the body does start to break down, and injuries. I have a knee thing, shoulder, elbow, lower back. I can go on hamstring. I can go on, and our sport isn't as physically as demanding as, let's say, a football player or some of those other athletes out there. But when you do the same thing for literally 35 years, and I've been doing it now 27 years as a pro. It's the same repetitions over and over and over again. Your body starts to break down.
Some high mileage.
It's high mileage, baby. But I do all the things that I can do to be competitive and stay competitive. And I feel that I'm still be able to compete at a high level. So I want to bring that to Staccato. I want to bring kind of the heritage of STI back to Staccato. I definitely want to be a big part of that, but it's more than that. I want to bring in some younger guys and girls and train them up on how to be national and world champion level shooters, but also great brand ambassadors. I want to be that person that can mentor young people. So bringing in junior shooters, developing them to be the best that they can be on and off the range.
Okay, because you were the captain of Team Sig. Right. So you're talking about building out and developing a Staccato team? Is that what I'm hearing?
Eventually, I would like to do that. Yeah, I would like to. And I don't know if it's like, hey, he's the team captain or he's doing this or that, but no matter what, I want to be the guy to help younger shooters reach their goals, reach their full potential, and ultimately make the industry better from my standpoint. So my expertise, what I do, has always been that competitive shooter, instructor, brand ambassador, and I feel like at some point I'm going to go away. Whether it's retirement or a different industry or who knows what down the road, but I want to leave this industry better than when I found it. And there was a lot of amazing people who passed the torch to me, so I want to be that guy to pass the torch to them. So that'll be a big part of my role, as I still plan to do 8 to 10 major competitions a year, but I'm also taking on a much bigger role on the business side, which is really what intrigued me about this job, because that's what's next for me. Is not just competing, but developing younger shooters, as I mentioned, and making better brand ambassadors for our industry, but also being a big part of the training side. I'm very, very passionate about training. As you know, I do a lot of courses, and whether it's online training or in-person stuff, and whether it's been for my personal business or other companies that I've worked for. But I love working with law enforcement, military, and anyone out there who just wants to be better with a handgun. That's kind of my passion. So I'm able to take over as VP of training at Staccato. Okay. So I'll be running. Is that your title? Yeah, so I guess the official title is a mouthful, but it's VP of training, marketing, and brand ambassadorship. Okay. So a lot of roles that you're going to be doing. And you have a couple decades worth of experience in the gun industry. So yes, you're a pro shooter and a really good shooter and a pistol guy,
but just being in the industry for this long and working with and for different companies.
Yeah.
A lot of experience that you can bring to the table there.
That's what I'm excited about. So I'm excited that Staccato sees me as like, yeah, we think you can go out and compete at a high level, but we don't really need or want you to win at the highest level. We want you to kind of continue to bring brand recognition, but whether it's developing younger shooters, but more so the experience. What's in between the ears now that I can give back to a company, where you can have a seat at a table, help make decisions to guide a company to where you think it might be best. And I think that's super, exciting for me to be able to do that.
So I don't know if we talked about this, but we did some things with STI back in the day, and I was familiar with STI. And then I kept hearing, I don't know when this was, but I'd start hearing about this company Staccato. Mm-hmm. It was just Staccato. It wasn't Staccato firearms, Staccato guns, whatever. I was just like, and I'll be honest, I mean, I'm in this world. And for a period of time, some months or whatever, I was like, who the hell is Staccato? Because I must have missed the announcement, or maybe there was an announcement of like, STI is now Staccato, or whatever, how that went down. I know you weren't there then, but it was just funny to me to like, wait, Staccato is STI, or it was, or whatever.
Yeah.
So you had a history with STI. And obviously, for a lot of people who don't realize, when you're in the gun industry, but you're working for a gun company, that's your world. Like, you don't get to play with a lot of other guns and do that, right? I mean, you're kind of like, if you're working for, name a gun company, your world is that gun company and all their models and their R&D and all that stuff, right? So there's been a long time where you didn't really have much interaction with STI or Staccato. When you started having these conversations and you started, shooting the product and all that stuff, what were some of the surprises to you when you're like, well, I remember it as STI, but now it's Staccato? What are some of the differences or surprises for you?
Yeah, so it's pretty interesting for that too, because I'm also the coach of the U.S. Marshal Special Operation Group, and those guys transitioned to Staccatos like 5 years ago. Mm-hmm. So right around that time that they were transitioning to that, I was becoming a lot more involved at their campus and training with them. And so that's when I was like, wait, so STI is now Staccato? Okay, so I kind of picked up on it just because I was there with the guys. And their scores went through the roof, by the way. I mean, their scores were amazing. They put red dots, and then they had those pistols coming out of other platforms. They were just awesome. So I would say that the biggest difference is really just, now there's quite a bit of difference, but I would say over the last probably 4 or 5 years, it's really just been more of a mindset difference and more of an intention of being more involved in law enforcement and government rather than competition.
Oh, okay.
Because, STI has always been known as competition, highest performing pistol out there, the kind of that high level brand of competition pistols, but it's never really been looked at as a law enforcement government type of a company back in the day when I was initially there many years ago. But when they got that contract with the U.S. Marshal Service, that's when everybody was kind of like, wait a second, those guns aren't supposed to be used for duty. They're the most they're the most kind of performance based guns out there. But everybody considered, hey, the reliability, is it going to be good enough for what these guys need it for? Mm-hmm. And then kind of fast forward to this year, when they came out with their HD models, and that's essentially where you have a 2011 platform, that runs just as consistently and just as amazing as a 2011 that I grew up on, but it takes Glock mags. Right. So it takes that reliability question out of it. So now, and the price dropped quite a bit too with that new platform that they have. So that just really opened up the door for everyone. So that's where I think it really differs, from when I was around Staccato or when I was around STI in the beginning. It was 2011, and the magazines were 29+1 in the open guns, but it was lots of tuning going on, dude. Like messing with the feed lips. Oh, you dropped it in the dirt. You better clean that thing quickly,
Don't let it get dirty.
Don't let it get dirty. Don't let it get cracked and messed up and bend the feed lips. But that's what the biggest difference that I see now is that there's a platform out there that's just as shootable as it always has been from STI to Staccato, but the ability to take Glock magazines just makes the reliability go through the roof. And that's why you're starting to see a lot of agencies transition over to Staccato.
Do you think that's going to, obviously the double stack 1911, 2011 category is seeing a moment these days. Do you think that's a trend we're going to see more of not using the traditional old school double stack 1911 magazines and using some sort of different feed system?
Yeah, I think so. I really do. And it's fairly new, what's happening with that, and I think you're going to see that for the long term, because it's just until there is a 2011 magazine that everybody can trust with their life, then I think that changes. But for now, I mean, why not? There's a lot of guys out there with Glock mags, so why not use it? And the Sig on the P211 side, and there's a lot of folks out there with 320 mags. It just makes sense to me that those mags are extremely reliable, and now you have a performing pistol like a Staccato that guys can use with it.
Well, I know you train a lot of law enforcement guys. I'd like to talk more about that right after the break. You know Hodgdon. They're the gunpowder people. Hodgdon, CFE, Black, or BLK. It's a spherical propellant. It's designed specifically for the 300 blackout cartridge. It also includes their CFE, their copper fouling eraser ingredient. Top accuracy with less barrel cleaning time. We can all like that. It's also great for other small capacity cartridges like the 6.8 Remington, the 7.62x39 Russian cartridge. Hodgdon, the gunpowder people. EOTech brought out the smallest 3-9 rifle scope I've ever seen, the super short Voodoo 3-9x32 rifle scope. Aircraft grade aluminum, lightweight, durable, measuring just 6.8 inches. Fog, water, and shock resistant. Capped quarter MOA turrets. Second focal plane design. It has an illuminated reticle with 10 brightness settings, and it also has an integrated base compatible with many ACOG mounts, so really easy to mount up and start shooting. The super short Voodoo 3-9 rifle scope from EOTech. Inglis Manufacturing revived one of the most iconic military pistols of the 20th century. The Inglis High Power. Originally produced in Canada during World War II, the High Power gained a reputation for rugged reliability and saw service around the globe. Now, SDS Arms brings back this legacy with a faithful reproduction crafted for both modern shooters and historical collectors. Inglis from SDS Arms. So Max, one of my things, you teach a lot of law enforcement. You have I think you're still doing the deal with, is it howitzer?
Howitzer, yep.
Yeah,
Howitzer clothing.
where they support kind of paying for you to go around and train all this law enforcement, which is a super cool program. Okay, but let's just go, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to speak for maybe some of the snarky audience, the online audience here. They'll say cops can't shoot.
Yeah.
There's the jokes about them barely qualifying, and we have to make the targets bigger for them to qualify.
Yeah.
But then we're going to hand them a gun, which obviously is high performance, but it's got a thumb safety, it has got a grip safety. There's other things going on here. How do you think about that? Because I'm just kind of curious.
Yeah, and so to answer your question, some of that's said online is obviously nasty and ugly and whatnot, but there is some truth to it, right? Some of these guys, we need to get out there and train better.
Yeah.
We need to train more. These law enforcement folks, they don't really get the time, the ammunition, or the opportunity to train. And that's part of what I do, is I don't just train the highest level operators, which I truly loved doing that, but I don't just train just the highest level operators. I also train your everyday patrolmen, your everyday law enforcement personnel, because those guys are the ones. In fact, just last week I had, I don't know, maybe 40 or 50 of our local guys out on the range. The guys that are patrolling our streets, protecting our kids.
That's awesome.
And that was super, rewarding for me, because I wanted to make sure that they were receiving the training that they had never seen before.
Yeah.
And somebody was donating the ammunition for them to be there. It was great. With that said, there does need to be a higher level of training, and that's why howitzer clothing, what we call Project Blue Lion, that allows me to travel the country, and myself and 4 or 5 other instructors, we've now donated almost $3 million worth of training.
Wow.
Just by you guys at home going buy clothing, we take a portion of those proceeds and give back, what we call the Give Back program. And in fact, I'm heading there later this week to their place to go do some more work with local law enforcement. But yeah, to answer your question, we're not just getting the training for these guys as frequently as we would like to. So how do you take a high performing gun and put it in somebody's hands that's not, very well trained with that? So I think it starts at the highest level initially. And that's where Staccato comes into your SWAT level guys, your HRT level guys, your special operating guys.
Because they're training more.
They're training more, exactly.
Yeah.
So your highest level operators will truly appreciate this platform. But even them, they will need a transition class. And at Staccato, as VP of training, that's one of the things that we do. We have a really good team of guys that are all law enforcement background. These guys are amazing. So the guys that I inherited, awesome dudes. Like I feel like I fit right in. You know, I feel like, yes, this is me. This is where I want to be. I want to be involved with these guys, and they do a great job on the road of transitioning officers from Glocks or M&Ps or whatever they might have to a Staccato. And
how long do you think that takes? I mean, how many either days or rounds of training where they start getting, I mean, it's probably a long, you know, if we say beginning to end, it's perhaps months, but as far as like you guys showing up and kind of ramping these guys up to a new platform, how long does that take to transition?
So the course itself is only 2 days.
Okay.
It's a 2-day course. You know, we come in there, let's say if you're running a course with me, a performance pistol course, you're looking at about 2 days and roughly 1,000 rounds.
Okay.
But a lot is going to be covered within that course, but that's not where we leave it. So you'll still have contact with us directly. We'll come back multiple times. You know, let's say over the next couple of years, if it's a contract of so many periods of time, we'll be there to come check on things. There's also an armors course that comes with that, so that's separate from the transition course. So there's a lot of knowledge that's being translated to these guys. And yes, maybe in total you're looking at, you know, less than a week being with a Staccato representative. But that's not, we don't just leave you from there. You know, it's this constant communication. Like I mentioned, we'll come back, check out the pistols, make any repairs that need to be repaired, make any upgrades or changes or, you know, just normal maintenance to that. And that's really, that to me, you also need to have a point of contact there who is passionate about that Staccato product as well. And it probably is if somebody is transitioning, you know, like our local SWAT team here pretty soon. I'm pushing them and working with them as well.
Right.
So we got purchase orders happening right now, which I'm excited about. But there's a couple of dudes there who are very excited and passionate about the product. So yes, while we're going to transition that group for, you know, a few days, there's folks there that are going to take it to the next level and continue training their guys.
Kind of training the trainers, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, but like you said, you know, like we discussed, it starts at the highest level. And do I see patrolmen carrying HDs down the road? Maybe so. You know, but we have to train these guys up.
What about? So I mean, obviously, Sig. People probably still, for the most part, think of them as a gun company, but they expanded. They became an optics company, an ammo company, and suppressors and BB guns and everything, right?
Sure.
So you're not doing anything with them anymore. Are you partnering with, you know, different ammo and optics and stuff like that as well?
Yeah, so that's a great point. You know, as a pro shooter, you kind of get pigeonholed into that one spot. And when Sig had all these things, a lot of my additional sponsors got bought up and kind of moved over because of Sig. So now that frees up a lot of other opportunities. Staccato does make ammo, so I'm going to be 100% on board with Staccato. So I'm doing guns and ammunition with them, which I'm really excited about. I'm going to the factory in a few weeks, and I know their ammo is already at a higher level, but I want to tweak it to even that next level for competition shooters.
Yeah, here's the thing, guys. Competition shooters can't leave well enough alone. You cannot. You're like, no, I mean, it's good, but I mean, because just by necessity, you guys are reloaders, and maybe, you know, I guess the goal would be to get to where, you know, you just tell people what to load for you and you don't have to do it anymore.
Exactly.
But you've done it, right? You've developed loads and your recipes, with bullets, powder, all primers, all the things, right? So you're going to be helping them with that as well?
Yes, I'm excited about that. I'm going to be heading up there in a few weeks to kind of see what they're currently doing, and I'm hearing great things about their ammo already. You know, their training ammo and their high-level kind of high-performance ammo. Basically what you told me, they were just like, hey, just leave it alone. It'll be fine. But I'm like, yeah, but can I just try?
But I have a few things I'd like to see happen here.
Exactly. So I'm trying to sweet talk my way into that. So hopefully we'll be doing some work there, but I'm excited about their ammo. I look at that as, well, I look at Staccato as like the kind of the Rolex of the gun industry, kind of that higher level gun, and same with the ammo. You know, it's going to be that level. So I'm excited about that. And of course now optics is now open as well, because Sig made optics, and I was originally sponsored by Seymour way back when I was a kid. In fact, I was just watching a video recently when I was like 10 years old, 12 years old, with a big old afro, little chunky dude shooting a Seymour optic. I was like, it's funny, man.
That was kind of a thing back then.
Yeah.
And it's funny how we kind of go through these phases, especially in competition shooting, of like Seymour was, and it's still a company out there, but it was very popular with people who were early into shooting red dots.
Yeah, it was like one of the first kind of, I guess, you know, Aim Point was around, Tasco was around, you know, some of those guys. That's what I used to use back in the day. And then
Put
Seymour
a big, like,
kinda,
toilet paper tube.
That's exactly what I had. Yeah, it was just big old giant, heavy, didn't work half the time, you know. But at some point, folks transitioned to C-more. That was kind of like known as like the competitive shooting optic for a while. And I used that for many years. And then Sig was like, hey, it's time. You know, we were making our own
We're an optics company. We want you to shoot our stuff.
But so now leaving Sig, that opened up an opportunity. So I started thinking and looking around again. And again, if I could write my story, where would it be? And I landed on Trijicon.
Okay.
I mean, so an old Army dude at heart. You know, we had a lot of Trijicon products in the Army. But really what it boiled down to me, you know, was their mission, Staccato's mission, and my mission together, I think is super unique. And you know, kind of my all-American brand, being in the Army for 10 years, you know, Staccato being an American-made company, Trijicon, American-made company, and everybody giving back to the law enforcement, military, government community. It just, everything aligned with my mission.
That's
everything
cool.
that feeds my soul, you know, because winning national and world championships anymore, I would love to. Yeah, I want to bring a couple of championships to Staccato. That would be amazing. But what feeds my soul is giving the best products to those out there that are protecting our country, protecting the streets that we live in, protecting our freedoms. You know, and then me training those guys all with American-made products. It just made total sense to me. And that the Trijicon brand is a huge brand. So they're only going to catapult me and make me bigger. It all worked. But mainly it was because of, you know, the mission between all three of us that really stuck out at me.
So, Trijicon optics, do you have certain ones that you've been shooting lately?
Yeah, so the SRO is very similar to optics that I've shot in the past.
Yep.
But the one good thing I can say that I'm really excited about with Trijicon is their reliability is amazing. Everybody you ask, it's like, oh, it's the most reliable optic. It's the best optic. I've had it for 6 years, never had an issue with it. So that really, you know, I was excited about. But the SRO is what I'm going to be using for competition.
Yeah.
And then they have their RMR HD line. So the RMR I'll be running on most of my duty guns.
Yeah.
And the RCR, their new enclosed red dot optic, that'll be a big gun, a big optic of choice. So a lot of guys, when they transition to Staccato, you know, whether it's law enforcement or government agencies, they're going to be looking for an optic. And that fully enclosed optic with that HD 4.5 inch gun, that's going to be a nice little setup that you're going to see in our local area here pretty soon.
That's awesome, dude.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So, what do you think the future looks like in the next year or two for you guys and what you've been up to?
Yeah, so I think, you know, the future is extremely bright. If you walked around SHOT Show last year, you know, and you went to the Staccato booth, you probably had a hard time getting in. You know, so it was just, you know, just people out, you know, flowing out of the booth, and it was really amazing to see. But that HD line is going to take Staccato to a whole nother level. And when I saw that in January at SHOT Show, because I knew what Sig was coming out with, like, some months later.
Sure.
I knew it was happening. I was like, wow, you know, Staccato I feel like they saved themselves, honestly.
Yeah.
You know, because now they have a platform that is not only the best shooting platform, but also now going to be one of the more reliable platforms on the planet. So that way you can bring every law enforcement, government, military, or civilian shooter out there to a whole nother level. So I think the company is already on the uptrend, but it's going to continue to explode, you know, especially bringing in not just folks like myself, but if they're out there looking for that level of talent, whether it be on the competition range or on the business side, they just brought in a new CMO who is amazing. So they're looking for the right people, you know, to drive this, because they know it's going to continue to just explode upwards. So with the right people in place, the owner, the CEO, these guys are definitely destined for great things, and I'm looking forward to being a part of it.
I did see the Staccato booth at SHOT Show. It was packed the whole time. My question, Max, is do you think that you have enough tattoos and your beard is big enough to even be in that booth?
I just told you they're looking for different dudes, man. So they got to bring me in,
get
man.
more facial hair, bro.
Well, the problem is I won't be able to grow any hair on top of the head, but I can maybe grow a little bit on the beard. But then that's when the gray starts to come out, and, you know, it's like, do you want that look? No, No,
you just look wise. Just very wise.
Guy's been around for a minute. That's why, you know, he's got that salt and pepper thing going on.
Yeah, hardened.
No, but I am excited about the opportunity and what we have, because a lot of those guys you're mentioning, you know, are law enforcement, military background dudes who have a very similar mindset and very similar, you know, path and mission that I have. And a lot of those guys I've worked with before. You know, funny thing we didn't get into just for a quick moment here is my very first gunsmith, or one of my first gunsmiths when I was a kid. His name is David Cupp. He still works at Staccato today.
Really?
You know, so this is 35 years now. He's maybe
Jeez.
so.
That's amazing. That's the kind of guy that you want working on guns.
Dude, it's awesome. He texted me the other day, and he's like, he took a picture of his workbench, and he's like, I can't believe 30 plus years later, I got Max Michel's guns back on my bench. And so we had a phone call, and he, maybe some tears were shed, and we were, messing around talking, and we were like, man, I can't believe this is happening.
That's awesome.
I was like, you better get ready, dude. I'm gonna keep you busy.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Let's take a quick break. We'll be right back. The new CDS9 Classic from Kimber offers a more refined offering of concealed carry pistol. The CDS9 Classic shares many elements with the traditional CDS9, such as 10, 13, and 15 round magazine capacity. The Classic model features fully ambi controls and also available in an optics-ready configuration. The CDS9 Classic is a refined and smooth EDC firearm that provides the accuracy you need and the performance you expect from Kimber. Own an AR? Then it's time to really learn what it can do. The NRA's America's Rifle Challenge, or ARC, is the ultimate way to train and test your skills and compete safely with your AR-style rifle. Whether you're a new owner or a seasoned pro, ARC offers progressive training and fun. Action-filled matches from 10 yards to 400. Rimfire, PCC, and suppressors are welcome. It's time to get out of the booth or off the sighting bench and pressure test yourself and your setup in competition. Find an event or start your own at arc.nra.org. That's arc.nra.org. And if you're a gun club, reach out to host an ARC event at your range. The 2026 Winter Sectionals are fast approaching. NRA ARC. Back in 1999, Black Hills Ammunition started developing the Mark 262 Mod 1C for the U.S. Navy. It's a 5.56 military precision round, and now it's available to you. Comes in military ammo cans containing 460 rounds of 20-round cartons. And the big deal here is accuracy. 10 groups of 10 shots each at 300 yards, and that has to shoot a sub 2-inch group. That is crazy accurate. Black Hills Ammunition, the power of performance. So Max, you were talking about training, and I haven't been to either place, but Staccato has, outside of Austin, Texas, has, like Staccato's, they have a range, but it's where Staccato is located, headquartered? Is that
exactly,
right?
Yeah. So they're in Florence, Texas, just near Georgetown, a little bit north of Austin, Texas.
Okay.
And there's 900 plus acres on their ranch.
Awesome.
And that's where the factory is. Also the ammo factory. There's an indoor shooting range, a couple of indoor shooting ranges with a pro shop there, which is really nice. And then the actual outdoor ranges, there's endless of those. There's lots of those ranges out there on 900 plus acres, as you can imagine. But there's just some stand and shoot stuff with lots of different steel targets. There's a lot coming that I've seen recently that they read me in on, and it's going to be exciting stuff there. But there's also these little experiences. So, you drive, a few hundred yards or maybe more over here, and you're like, oh, cool, this is like a little gas station shootout thing that,
really?
I can do an experience here for that. Or you're in a trailer. I don't know if they want me to say this, but it kind of looks like a Breaking Bad thing. You break out the Breaking Bad trailer and you got a bunch of targets everywhere.
Kind of almost like a stage, right?
It's almost like stages.
Stage.
Yeah, but like with more intention geared toward like everyday life type stuff.
Okay.
There's one that's almost like a cowboy action town. It looks really cool. You're going through all these different saloons and shooting all these steel targets.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of different unique experiences there. So I feel like the ranch in Texas is obviously the headquarters of the company, and that's where everything is made and everything is kind of all the brains are put together there. There's also the ranch for more the civilian guys that want to go out there and have some fun, guys and gals that want to go shoot. There are open enrollment courses there periodically.
People are always going to ask you saw it. It's like when you have a gun company that's running a training division, do they have to shoot that type of gun?
Right, and so no, that's exactly. You can come out with any pistol, and that's going to be our thing. It's like, hey, whatever gun you have, you bring it, and we want to help you become the very best that you are, or the very best that you can be with that particular pistol. I do think there's some guns out there in the world that are easier to shoot than others, and you'll probably find that out. When you come to a Staccato course, we'll have plenty of guns for you to shoot if you want to try them.
There's some loaners available.
We've got some loaners, and you can definitely try them out, and you'll be hooked. But I think at the end of the day, bring whatever gun you have, and we're going to make you the very best that we can make you with your particular platform. So that's more of like your civilian side. And I'm still learning. I'm the new guy, right? So I'm still learning a lot of things. But there's also another program that they have for members So the ranch itself, you could become a member of the ranch, and that means you have access to the indoor shooting, you have access to the outdoor shooting, but you also have access to the classes and up and coming deals and things of that nature. So
cool.
Those people already love Staccato, but yeah, if you don't have a Staccato, then definitely bring out what you have and we'll help you out.
I see what you guys are doing though. It's like they're there. It's like the guy that says, hey, just drive this car home. Just look, no worries. We'll just make a copy of your license. Just take the car.
Yeah.
And if you want it, we'll talk tomorrow.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like that, right?
It's like, you're taking that car home and you're never giving it back.
Yeah, you're like, this is a brand new, this is so much nicer than my car.
Exactly.
Yeah. Look,
They know how to
just
get you.
little loaner, take the Staccato, shoot it for the day and during the course.
It's funny.
If you hate it, well,
we'll take it back, no
we'll
problem.
take it back, no worries.
Yeah, it's so funny thinking about that too, because I do a lot of these little, I'll call them a demo, but back in the day, a demo for me used to be like, hey, stand up here and shoot real fast, show everybody how good you are.
Right.
But now I think of a demo as like trying to also demo products. Like,
Yeah.
And so one of the ways that I do that is I'll have guys shoot their own stuff. Hey, bring your own gear. And then, oh, you want to try mine? Yeah, sure, try it out. They're like, oh my gosh, this thing's amazing. We'll shoot it for 100 rounds or two, shoot it for another hour or so, and then after lunch, you can always go back to your own gear. And they go back to their own gear later and they're like, what was I thinking? So it almost sells itself, which is really cool. So that's, the ranch in Texas is quite a bit of acreage, factory, facility, training, ranges. But then we have another location in Vegas.
Okay.
So it's Staccato, just outside, just on the west side of Vegas. It's what we call Staccato Vegas. And that's a gigantic facility, if you remember the old front site.
Yes.
So old front
So
site.
it's that property got sold, right?
Exactly.
It got sold a couple times, I think, right?
It did. Yep, it sure did. So it was called Prairie Fire for a little bit recently, and then now it's Staccato Vegas.
Okay, so it's called Staccato Vegas now.
It is. So it's a gigantic facility with unbelievable opportunities that can be done there. So what we're planning on doing there is making it, for me, I believe it's going to be one of the best training facilities for law enforcement, government, military agencies out there on the planet. It's going to be a really, really unique opportunity for people to go out there and train, stay on property, do all the things that they need to do in a private setting. And there'll still be some fun stuff out there too for the civilian world, but there's lots of really cool things that can be done out there right now. But from a law enforcement, military, government mindset, I think it's going to be an unbelievable training facility.
Yeah, the government guys, they sometimes with what they want to do or need to do, they need more space, and they like to be kind of by themselves, right? Certain units like to be by themselves. We're taking this place over for the week or two or whatever.
Right.
And also it probably gives you guys flexibility and to say, what do you want to do? What do you want to train? And we can actually create that for you.
And that's what's happening right now.
Which,
that's exactly happening.
I mean, if anybody listening to this doesn't know what we're talking about, those special units, they do get to say, no, we want to whatever. We're playing with government money here.
Right.
So like, we're going to be coming out of helicopters. We're going to be doing these things where it's like, normal people don't get to do this stuff, but they're like, yeah, this is what we want to train on.
Yeah, and it's exactly right. They can do what they want pretty much, right?
Yeah.
And that's what Staccato is right now. Staccato Vegas is all ears. Hey, what do you guys need? What do you want? If you were going to go out there and build your own training site, what would it look like?
Wow.
So there's enough space out there to do whatever they want. And the owner, Peter, he's very dedicated to government, military, law enforcement. He's dedicated to, giving back to the heroes that are out there and making the very best that we can for them. So they're excited, and we're excited to be a part of that. So it's pretty unique, pretty awesome.
That's awesome, man. So new things coming. I mean, I know you're like the new guy. You don't even know where the bathrooms are yet. But are there new products that we should be thinking about for SHOT Show?
There are some new products coming out for SHOT Show. So right now, you guys have been seeing online, I'm sure, the new 3.6, and of course the 4.5 with the sight block, and those HD models that are, as we mentioned, accept the Glock magazines. Those are kind of the new cool things this year. But next year coming, I'm excited about what's to come as well. We're just going to continue to make those even perform at a higher level, so you can look at some different models. But I don't think you're going to have 100 different SKUs out there, at Staccato. I think we're going to be very intentional on what we do have and making the very best products for those who want them and need them, not just in the civilian world, but also government, military, law enforcement. But I am excited about what's to come on the competition side, because you're going to see some of these guns a little bit more geared back to competition.
You know, do the 40 Super, Max? You gonna
the 40 Super?
You gonna push that in there?
No.
You'll be like, damn it, why did we hire Max?
Yeah, we thought this guy was going to come in and just fall in line. Why is he changing everything now? No, I think what's going to end up happening is those guns that I'm going to be competing with are still going to be great guns for the high-end civilian shooter who just wants the very best, or some other special unit who's like, you know what, give me the best. I want the highest end version. But so I think there's going to be a few more things to come, and there'll be some small little tweaks here and there, of course. When I get in there and work with our product development team and say, hey, I prefer this type of trigger, I prefer this type of safety, but you can't change everything and make it just for me, right? It's got to be for the masses, and everybody's going to kind of accessorize things on their own anyway. But there are some new things coming that I'm excited about.
Very cool, man. Well, we will keep everybody in tune on that.
Heck yeah.
Max, thanks for being with us. Thanks for making the big announcement with us. So that's it, guys. Max Michel doing some new things and some really cool products probably on the way. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time on Gun Talk Nation.